Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are once again going to be going over Hurricane Dorian. So, since we did look at this yesterday evening, it has really intensified, and we are at a Category 4 hurricane, a little earlier than expected, but it wasn't out of the question, especially because you're just out in these really warm waters where development is very possible, rapid development, so I wasn't too surprised it did happen. And we're going to talk about, could it get any stronger today, and where is it heading, because these track changes are really, they've changed a lot, and I really do need to show y'all this before I do leave. I'm about to go out of town, but I may make a video later. It won't be me talking, but if there's something new with the 11 a.m. or 5 p.m. update, I may do something on it. But right now, this could be my only video of the day, early in the morning at 6:20. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I do hope you all enjoy. Subscribe, and leave a like down below if you do enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into the next one. What am I saying? Let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so right now you can see this storm has gotten way bigger, especially on the eastern side. You can see the western side, there is some development, but there's not really much development. Really, the most major development is right here on the eye wall of the storm, but you can definitely see the eye, and you can see how it's really put together. And on that eastern side, you can see all the moisture. Now, if we were to go to the National Hurricane Center, you can see that over here, this cone has changed a lot. And yesterday we were talking about how this could be changing instead of not hitting Florida. And it's looking like that could start becoming true. So pretty much we are seeing on the Florida coast, right here you can see it, and here is where it may be going right now, and you can see how it does miss the Florida coast. I do think we will see tropical storm warnings still and some rain, but really across the whole east coast of Florida, and pretty much all of Florida, we have been spared. I know everybody got prepared and may be complaining about you made us get prepared and all that. But you got to think about this. We're probably going to see another hurricane somewhere around the Gulf or from the Atlantic this year. So you're already prepared, and there is still the possibility that it could shift back into Florida. But right now it's not looking like it because we are expecting it to kind of slow down. And then there's a high pressure that could be pushing it a little bit up, which has really been controlling the system. Especially when this high pressure does get stronger, it should be pushing it up really soon, especially right when it gets near Florida, which is like a shield pretty much. And if we were to keep going, this is where we could make landfall. There's the possibility for landfall somewhere in the Carolinas. So anywhere from South Carolina, coastal South Carolina to coastal North Carolina, we have a possibility of a landfall. Now, right now they don't have it as a major hurricane, but they pretty much have it 5 miles per hour short of a major hurricane. And September 5th, so today's the last day of August, that would be around next Thursday. It's near South Carolina, and you can see how this cone does keep moving. So if you're anywhere in here, there still is the possibility the center could come over you. So all of South Carolina, pretty much, already parts of southern, parts of south central, southeastern parts of North Carolina, and you can see how big that is. Now there still is the possibility, of course, that it makes landfall in Florida and does go up this area, western Florida. You never know, it could do something like this. But another possibility is that this does keep going off more to the west on this track, because that cone is there, and if this was to happen, it would be a better case scenario for almost everyone but North Carolina. You can kind of see how North Carolina does stick out a little bit. It doesn't do any good for itself. But right now they are expecting a landfall somewhere across the southeast coast, anywhere from Florida to North Carolina. It's looking more likely over South Carolina or North Carolina right now, but I will keep y'all covered on that as best as I can. And if we were to go ahead and go to the spaghetti models, actually, I want to look at one more thing, actually. Let's go to the rainfall potential really quick. And right here, you can see yesterday we had this whole red and some of the pinks over here. And now we have yellows, maybe even greens and oranges. So pretty much in that orange, you should be expecting 6 to 10 inches of rain. So that's going to be anywhere across parts of central, eastern, southeastern the coastal parts of North Carolina, also coastal South Carolina, coastal Georgia, and pretty much the whole east coast of Florida, almost the whole east coast, not all of it. And you can see how there's not much of that. And remember what we said earlier, how the eastern side of that storm is the worst part. So if we were to look at the Bahamas, they're still 15 to 20 inches widespread and 20 plus inches, because if this track does stay true, it would do something like this, and you get the eastern side of the storm. You get the eastern side right here, as this track would move up here. So anywhere east of where this track is going is where we will be seeing the biggest of the rainfall. That's why these totals have been really reduced across Florida, just because this track just keeps moving east, which is a really good thing. But when you look later down the line, you do see North Carolina, South Carolina, maybe even Georgia, where we could be seeing a landfall or just a lot of impacts. There is the potential with the system that we never make landfall and it does something like that, and we never see it, which is a really good possibility, not the best possibility, but it still is there. The biggest possibility right now is something like this, or that's something I saw, or maybe something like this. That's our best possibility right now, so I would put somewhere in here as our worst of our impacts. But we will definitely have to see. Right now they don't have a lot of rain in the western parts of the Carolinas. That is not surprising, just because that western side of the storm is that part where we really don't see much. But if we were to go ahead and move into that yellow, that's where we're expecting 4 to 6 inches of rain. So this will be northern coastal Carolina, just a lot of the eastern Carolinas, as you can see in that yellow. As we do move a little bit inland, as we get into South Carolina, just a little inland, and as we move into parts of Florida, just a little bit inland from the coast, and a little bit inland from Georgia too. So pretty much, this is just like right off the beaches, but right now, you can see how there's a line right here where we won't really be seeing much after. Now over here we have a whole new area to watch, another system that is possible to develop. If that does get a little worse, I will cover it. We also do have something off the coast of Africa. I did cover a little bit yesterday, and I will cover it a little bit today. But we're gonna go ahead and look at the spaghetti models. We're gonna go ahead and look at them, and you can see. Right now, most of the models, these are the hurricane models. These are probably the only ones I'm using. And you can see how a lot of them do stay together until the Bahamas. This has been the trend. Once we hit the Bahamas, it goes all over the place. Now you can see only 2 models make landfall in Florida. And those models are outliers. Usually those aren't the ones that we really look at. But if you do remember, we only had 2 models going up towards the Carolinas, and it's happening. So we're going to have to see if this does make that shift back west, or if it keeps going more east. Now, we have a better potential of going more east than going west, and just because of how that high pressure is steering the system. And you can see how some of the models just take it out here, and that's all, and we won't see anything from it. But most of the models, and this is what we're expecting, do bring it and make landfall somewhere across the South Carolina coast. As you can see, a big bulk of those models do it. And then you can see how some, a lot of them, do go over to, sorry, my alarm just went off. Okay. You can see how some of them are going towards coastal North Carolina. So you can see most of the models are making landfall across South Carolina or North Carolina as a major hurricane, possibly, especially a hurricane. That's pretty likely. But any way that this does happen, the worst possibility is what this model is doing, which will take it a little bit inland and bring all the eastern part of the storm across here, which would be a big problem. If we were to get a track something like this, that could be a bad thing, because you can see Myrtle Beach into coastal North Carolina, we are seeing a lot of impacts. Now, if it was to make landfall here and do something like this, you can see how pretty much all of the coastal Carolinas are in something. Right now, it's looking like we could see a landfall in South Carolina or North Carolina, or no landfall at all, just staying off the coast, which is our best case scenario right now. If we were to move into your intensity guidance of the 6Z, you can see how most of the models are staying in our category 4 right now, and it's actually showing a trend of where it's going to be backing off a little bit and just getting a little weaker. Now there's one model or a few models that do keep it going up. You can see there are a few of these, like 2 of these, and one takes it up to a category 5 and one takes it really close. Now this is not out of the question. We could see a category 5, but we will definitely have to see. We're still like 16 mile per hour away. At 140, you have to be at 156 to be a category 5 hurricane. But right now, most models are taking it down, and they are expecting in 4 days a category 3. And you can see how a few days ago, that 4-day would be when this whole thing's at a tropical storm. So this thing has really changed over last night. I was looking at it and I was like, this is really changing. I need to make a video on this. And you can see how over the next 4 days, you see that 4th day is when everything starts to drop a little bit. Now, it's not going to be a huge drop. As you can see, most models not taking a huge drop. Now, that category 3 would be here by around a little bit after your 4th day. And you can see how this should be at a category 1, a lot of models say, in about 5.5 days. And then it's at a tropical storm over the next 6 days. So you can see how this is really different than what we were seeing. And you can see how a lot of the models do end right here. And these are just some advanced models that do keep going. They just go out a little longer. Now, that is a representation of what some of these models could be doing. And that's kind of what we're expecting right there. And if we were to go back to this, you can see how they do have those models that do go a little farther out. Most of them do, some of them do stop right here, but some of them do show what it's expecting after that, and a landfall somewhere across here. So that's kind of what that is. If some of you are wondering why some stopped earlier, just because some of them don't go as far out. Now, so pretty much a category 4 is going on right now, and we should see a trend of it getting a little weaker, but it's going to be a very slow trend. There is the possibility we could pick a category 5, but not a huge possibility. Most likely we should just see it getting weaker until it's a tropical storm in about 5 or 6 days. But for now, we're going to be dealing with a major hurricane for a while. The Bahamas, you will most likely be dealing with a major hurricane. Florida is still up in the air. Georgia is still up in the air. South Carolina, North Carolina is our best possibility right now. And I will show you a lot of models that are doing this. Okay, so here's the GFS model. And you can see right now, this is a very strong system. Now, actually, this storm is at 948 millibars as of the 5 a.m. advisory. That is huge because if I'm not mistaken, yesterday at the 5 p.m. update or 8 p.m. update, we dropped 50 we were up 50 millibars, and then between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. we dropped 50 millibars. I'm not sure if that was between 5 or 11, but I think it was between 8 and 11 where we dropped 50 millibars. That was extremely that was not the most expected at that time, but it's happened, and we are at a category 4, and you can see how this really does represent that. Now, you can see how this does miss the Florida coast almost completely, but we do have some of those wraparound outer bands that do come over here. So, with these outer bands, we could see some gusty winds and a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of rain, but some rain. We will have to see how much we do get, and you can see in these areas, usually, we can see some of that severe weather, which is not out of the question for Florida now, where we could be seeing it. And you can see how this does make landfall somewhere at the South Carolina and North Carolina border, kind of right where you are at Myrtle Beach. I'm very familiar with that area. I love going there. It's a really nice, it's not the nicest beach, but it's pretty nice. And you can see how it does make landfall somewhere around there. Also Wilmington. Okay, yeah, we're not going to try to zoom in because this... but you can see how it does make landfall somewhere across the South Carolina and North Carolina border, and you can see how this does keep going into coastal North Carolina, and there is the possibility that it does remain offshore, but then you have North Carolina right here that does stick out a little bit. So if it's doing something like this, and it could make landfall right here, just because it's kind of sticking out into the ocean where the Dorian could be going, and you can see how this is really strong when it gets off the coast. And there is the possibility that it could go for Newfoundland. And if we were to look at the North Atlantic, you can see how close it does get to Newfoundland, and then it just goes north, and we never really see it again in the U.S. There could be some rain impacts in some areas of other countries. As you can see, I don't know the exact name of that country. I know that's a crime that I don't know that, but that's what we're seeing right now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go on to windy.com, and I do want to cover this thing, I'm going to call it a thing, Invest over here, and here it is. You can see, I'm pretty sure this is where it is. If we were to go to National Hurricane Center, I will definitely check. I don't want to get it wrong, but I am pretty sure that this is what we're seeing. Yeah, okay, yeah, we have a 50% chance over the next 5 days, and so here it is. And you can see it's not that put together. It's nothing tropical yet. Tropical depression could be coming over the next 5 days, as it did say, or maybe a little earlier. We do have a chance. And you can see as we go throughout your Sunday, it's starting to develop a little bit more. Still not really developed. And then by your Monday, it keeps going. By your Tuesday, it keeps going. By your Wednesday, it keeps going. And you can see how it does start to get its act together. It could be a tropical storm by the 5th of September while we are seeing a landfall over in the Carolinas. And you can see how this does keep going, and it really doesn't affect anyone for a while. It may not affect anyone at all, but you can see how this does end here, and it's somewhere over here. It's not the best indication of where it is. It is going to be going in less favorable waters, but there is the possibility that it could end up somewhere over here from what this is saying, but there is the big possibility that it could just come out here, and who knows? Part of this system could pull it out. You never do know. So I'm pretty sure that was Dorian, right? Yeah, I think that was Dorian. No, wait, no, it wasn't. Never mind. I don't think that would pull it out then. I was thinking that was Dorian, so it would pull it out. So no, that would not happen. But you can see how we do have something after this from another tropical wave that came after it, and it looks way more intense than the thing before it. And you can see how this does kind of take the same track and kind of just misses everyone. Now, you can see how this has this huge window for development somewhere across here. It has a huge window. So if it was to hit the U.S., this could be kind of like a Florence. It looks a little bit like Florence to me, but nothing we're really having to watch closely right now. But I will definitely be watching it over the next few days. I'll just check it every once in a while. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on to Major Hurricane Dorian over here. So you can see how by tonight, your really early Sunday morning, you can see this storm. And you can see how it's really strong, like Category 3 or 4 strength at this time. And you can see how it does make landfall over there at Marsh Harbor, over in the northern Bahamas. And you can see how it brings really heavy rain. Really until your Monday night or maybe even Tuesday, it'll be going really slow. So really pretty much by your Tuesday night, we'll still be seeing rain. So anywhere from Sunday night to your Tuesday morning. So that is really, your Wednesday morning. That is a really far time frame of a lot of rain, and we are expecting quite a bit of flooding. Pretty much just a lot of rain across there. And you can see how this does miss the Florida coast. This is the European model, and you can see how the GFS and the European model are almost right on point together. Now the GFS has it a little bit faster, but you can see how the European does take it somewhere where the GFS is taking it, and you can kind of see where they're kind of agreeing right here. So a lot of the models are agreeing on a landfall somewhere across the Carolinas. Now these specific model runs are actually taking it at somewhere near Wilmington, north of Myrtle Beach, maybe even North Myrtle Beach. We'll have to see. And you can see how right here near Wilmington or Myrtle Beach, the Southport area, we could maybe be getting close to a landfall. We may not see a landfall. It could go right south of the island. Right here you can see these are, well, no, I don't know if that's an island, but I know these are islands. I forgot if they call them barrier islands. I'm not really sure, but who knows? But you can see how, you can see by Friday, we could be seeing a landfall somewhere across here. And they could be on some of these really tiny islands over here across parts of North Carolina. Of course, coastal North Carolina. I know a lot of people we're seeing it go inland a while ago, but that's not really the best chance now. And you can see how on your Thursday night to Friday, we are seeing this system impacting somewhere across the North Carolina, coastal North Carolina, maybe in parts of South Carolina. And you can see how by the 7th of September, you can see how it is getting really close to the northeast coast. We will have to see how that does work out, but you can see how this makes another landfall in Nova Scotia, and it does get near Newfoundland, and you can see how it does go really north, and maybe even it's going to get really close to Greenland, where it could be giving us some snow, which is that's pretty cool how that does happen, where we could be seeing snow from what was a tropical system. Okay, so that's pretty much all. We do have to look at the rain accumulation real quick, but after that, I think that's pretty much all for this update. And you can see how across the northern Bahamas, we are expecting anywhere from about 20 inches of rain, and this could be pretty widespread. And you can see there's 37 inches right there, so 3 feet of rain is not out of the picture across the northern Bahamas. But you can see across parts of eastern Florida, maybe 2 to 5 inches of rain, and you can see how across western Florida, maybe from 1 to 2 inches of rain. And then once we get across the panhandle, we could see less than an inch, about half an inch, maybe upwards of an inch, but not very likely that will happen. And if we were to keep going into parts of Georgia, still like 3 inches of rain. But once we enter your South Carolina region, you can see anywhere from 5 to 10 inches. And then once we get into North Carolina, you can see how we have 10 inches, 8 inches, 7 inches, 6 inches, anywhere across there. You can see that. And this has been the trend for about 12 or 16 hours, and you can see how this is where we should be seeing most of our impacts with these latest model runs. This could definitely change. It most definitely will change. Now the question is, will it take that eastern turn, western turn, or there still is the possibility that it could just stay right here, and we do have a track. But usually with tropical systems, it's not that easy. Now, if we were to keep going a little bit, you can see southeastern Virginia, near Virginia Beach, Norfolk, we could see anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of rain. And then it should move out of here into the ocean and affect Nova Scotia and parts of Canada. And that's pretty much the end of it for us in the U.S. But this has changed a lot, and it's not looking good for anyone across the Carolinas, maybe even the whole southeast if this does change. But right now, we are expecting a landfall across the Carolinas, and it's not looking good for anyone. Okay, guys, I hope y'all did enjoy today's video. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.